Hi, I'm David Key, and today I'm going to take you through the Morrisby Career Assessment tool. It's a tool that's been around and used over 50 years, so it's well utilised in many a school and organisation. Today, as I said, is pretty much an overview to say you complete this questionnaire, it goes for an hour and 40 minutes, and what I'm doing today is actually going through the report you'll receive. Now, that report will be received in the context of me interpreting it and explaining that report to you, and then it is for you to have access to for all the rest of your life, which sounds quite exhausting when you think about it. But there's opportunities to retake some of the questionnaires, because as we evolve, our personality, perhaps our skills, our experience, our thoughts evolve. So this is why it's really of value, not only for this point in time, but also on an ongoing basis. Because it's online, it keeps it fluid. So it's not an assessment that's a point in time, it's an assessment that you can work with during your career or your life journey in respect of your career. So let us go into it, okay? What I'm going to do today is I'm going to focus on two main things, right? I'm going to focus on the about me, which is obviously you and the results of a report, and then my choices. And that focuses on, based on the about me data, which I'll show you shortly, it feeds into my choices. And that's where you get your study selections or vocational career suggestions to select from, drill down on and research further, and then put together an action plan accordingly if we go down this track with our Funkee Careers service of getting this report. So basically the about me part, just to click on that, when you look at it in the results, you'll get all these highlighted in your report. So this is about to me. I've put myself out there, well, not out there in a big way, I'm just really showing you my assessment and my report details. Hopefully, you become familiar with me and what I'm about, but also it shows you actually the format and the context of the reports and the fields that you'll be given information on. So we've got your aptitudes, your career interest, your work style in the workplace itself being the physical workplace, on your personality, your learning style, priorities, which relates to what motivates you in terms of in an organisation or whatever you do in a career, and then your study interest area. So they're the areas that may tie in and relate to the particular career you choose. So just to give you an idea, and as it shows here, we've got our aptitudes to start with. The orange ones are actually your aptitudes in terms of that verbal, numerical and abstract. So they're natural areas of potential for yourself. The green ones are more practical abilities that come under your aptitudes and natural to yourself. All of these have a definition to give you some sort of understanding and context. Then you get into your interests, and like I said, this is me. So my career interests are people. Well, that's a good sign, given I'm a career coach, or what I like to call a journey coach, a bit more exciting. But, that caring for people, that advising people and persuading people, not as strong, but that's my focus and what I look for that really interests me in my career. You can see people like to work with information or maybe a bit more hands-on, or like to work with things in terms of research as such. Could be engineering, science, or being quite animated in the areas of, in the performing arts or art and design. So give you a range of your interests based on the results. Then we've got your work style. So this is more like in an organisation, whether it's small or massive, it'll determine that with the results. But it just says here for me, enthusiastic leader, ambitious manager, innovative and creative. That's the way it defines. And I must admit there are quite a lot of that in terms of what I want to do with a career. And then we go to the workplace. This is more the physical workplace preferences. So I like to have a bit of physical work. For me, that doesn't mean being on the tools and out there and perhaps doing a trade. Physical for me is more around not being desk bound. All right, so being able to connect with other people, move about, and I get energy from that. I just can't sit down at a desk for long. And then dealing with the public, connecting with people is part what I look for in a workplace. And then I have the personality. So they call me the ambassador, yay me. But basically, just to give you a breakdown, and so all of these tabs have got supporting text you can read on. I'm just giving a high-level overview today. But basically, in terms of the actual dichotomies here, just really the opposites, this extrovert, introvert is where you get your energy from. So I get my energy from being around other people. This next one is what the information you are drawn to in terms of giving your attention to. So basically, some people like to work with information, be a bit more creative and innovative. They may take facts, join the dots, and create something else. Whereas the sensing people, a bit more, they like to be more objective and work with information with surety that know that's come before them. This next one is a bit about how you like to make decisions. So some people are thinking, which means it's got to be technically correct. So there's quite a logic and mythology, and it removes all emotion from the decision. Pretty hard and factual with direct connections. But here we're on the feeling side, which is I'm a bit more interested in people's feelings, how they feel about it. I'm driven by my own values. So it comes a bit more subjective in terms of how I like to make decisions, but not highly, but just more of a shift there. And judging, this area is just called what we call lifestyle preference. And this is just more a bit about like, do you like to be highly organised? So if you're way up the end of this judging, you'd be like, highly structured, highly rigid. You know, you want everything planned till the last minute of every day from the moment you wake up. But this is totally the opposite, is where you basically go with the flow at this extreme, no deadlines. So a bit on my personality: enthusiastic, outgoing, gregarious, open, empathetic, and considerate. And then we move on to my learning style. And the learning style, as it shows there, it gives you a bit of a graph there and text below, but bigger picture type learning style in terms of I like to sort of know where I'm going and a bit more project-like, as opposed to just being drawn in the detail and stepping forward. Versatile, adaptable, just suggest, both in the classroom or being practical, physical, hands-on, I can adapt in my learning style. Then we have your priorities. And this is just the drivers, what's important to me when I think about a career or a job. And that contribution, making a difference to other people's lives, is quite strong and important to me. And then we go into our study interests. And then based on these results, it gives me an idea of areas that study that might interest me. And obviously in the counselling space is quite of interest to me. But you'll see the first 5, 6, 7 really tie in, or 8, even so, tie into working with people, coaching people, caring for people. Those are my levels of interest. And then that's all about me, all right? So we get those components broken down to give a good sense of ourselves. But then that data is collated, and that data collates into what we call my choices. And this is where we get the idea of the suggested careers that come up for someone who would do the assessment. And the careers can be put in a line format. Sometimes that's easy to look at. But basically, we've got careers. Now, I've put it 2 as my favourites. I can add youth worker as a favourite. But any favourite you select, and that'll become from, say, looking at it. So I'll have detail on the position, a bit of an overview, someone speaking about it, educational requirements, a bit about the role environment, external websites, more information, and then it'll even drill down to related careers to which you may look at and find some interest in. So that's the way you do it. Anytime you save it as a favourite, it goes up into this planner. The idea of this planner is as a portfolio of all your ideas or things that after researching the jobs, or even just through looking at a title, you see, oh, that looks to be of interest. I'll save it here and I'll come back to it later. So it's quite fluid, and like I say, it's with you for the rest of your life. So you can add, subtract, do what you wish in respect of it. So that's the way the plan is. Now we'll go back to the careers, and sometimes you can search for careers based on your qualification level. So I've just put here in terms of a degree, but obviously you can focus at apprenticeships. It's just really what interests you at the end of the day. So I've just put basic tech selected degree because that's just my background, so it just sort of fits in line. So you can change that any way you want. So it's like a filter. You can also search by a title of a position, and a position role will come up. Also, many a time we look at these career positions and go, I don't even know what that is, but you might have a better inkling by looking at certain career families. So you may like, I like engineering and maintenance, but I don't know what engineer. What is the sort of area of engineering I can get into? Obviously, the percentages aren't high for me because my results didn't indicate a strong interest towards the skills required in engineering. But you can have a look at that. And also you can alter up the qualification level. So you can expand that to be a bit wider, and then it will give a wider range of career suggestions in engineering, from certificates right up to degrees. So this is the way you can do it. Similarly, as we alluded to the studies before under About Me, the study options, this is another way to go into it. And once again, you get options coming up. You can look at those suggestions. You can look down it as information about the courses in that area, the study topics, but it drills down to not only related subjects, but also related careers. So this is another way you can start to understand a bit about what your options are by researching these courses and careers through reading them and understanding it. This is a starting point, a tool. You may speak to people, in these careers once you've got information as a way of researching it. But as I said, all this information when you save goes into a planner. So when you go back in, you log back in, you can look at this report at any time and you can see where you left off. Now, I hope this has been of great value to you. I'm David Key from Funkee Careers. So please give us a call and look at my website, and that's got my contact details on that. So that's just www.funkeecareers, all one word, .com.au. And also, please go to Spotify. And I've done a number of podcasts in relation to careers. Some have guests, some is about career content, but it's just called Funkee Careers. Funkee and then Careers. Thank you very much for your time, and I really hope you've enjoyed this